Okay, so we are seeing right now is your account. So when you log into MoxiWorks, this is your account. You want to make sure your name, your headshot, your contact information, all of that is correct. If you're uncertain how to get logged in, you can head to schmidtresources.com, and depending on where you are selling real estate, you can pick on the region in which you are licensed and reside. Find the MoxiWorks square, which is in a little bit of a different spot in each region, but it is that black circle with the words MoxiWorks. And then that very first link right there, you can log in via my.schmidtresources.com. So if you're ever not sure what that URL to log in is, this is exactly where you can go to find that. And again, that's right there in that MoxiWorks square. So this is your account, and you can see you have the opportunity to get to all the tools that are available in Moxie right here on the top of the screen. So you are able to navigate right here. We are going to be talking about Engage today. As I mentioned, that is our CRM, our client relationship management tool. But I did want to show you the account first. So if you launch into Present, if you launch into my website, if you launch into somewhere else on here, if you ever need to get back to your account, you can go right here to the upper right corner. That's another menu option that you have in order to navigate through the Moxie system. Now I have a few more options here than what you'll see just given the security level, but you will have a few options here as well, but you always will have My Account. And that'll launch you right back into the screen that we were just viewing. So this is where you want to make sure that your headshot's correct, make sure that your personal information, including your email address and your contact information, is all correct. Now our ASCs and RSCs have been hard at work trying to get everybody with an updated bio in the system. So if you're a new agent with us and you're working on your bio, your ASC locally can help you get that in here, or you do have the ability to do it yourself as well. And to do that, you just click on the pencil here, which is your edit option, right? And then you have these three options here: personal info, contact info, and web info, which is where you would want to put that bio. On your contact information, you do have the opportunity to have your primary email be different than what your sync email. So maybe you have a bunch of contacts in your personal gmail.com. So that's the one that you want to sync with MoxiEngage so that your contacts come over automatically. But you want to market your cbschmidtohio.com email address. You do have the opportunity to have those be two separate email addresses. And if you have any questions on that, or as you click on MoxiEngage, if it's not syncing, just reach out to us and we can help you work through some of those sync issues, because we do need to have a valid gmail.com email address in order to sync. Now we're not able to sync at this time to anything outside of the G Suite world. So Yahoo, AOL, Hotmail, Outlook, none of those at this point will sync with Moxie. The tool really is driven to communicate with those Gmail accounts. If you don't have one with us, if you are new to the company and you're not quite sure what your email address might be, just reach out to your ASC or your RSC and they'll get you in the right direction to get you that email address. If you are newer and you thought you'd want your sync email to be one thing and you realize that's really not what you want it to be the other email address, again, we can do that for you. We do have to contact the support team over at Moxie, but we are able to update that. So we all know when you're new to the business or if you're switching over to us from a different broker, a lot of times early on these questions are not clear. But as you operate in the system and you decide you want to change, we absolutely can help you with that. So the importance of a CRM, a client relationship management tool, is just that. It's to maintain the relationships that you have with the people in your sphere of influence. Now that can be anybody from your son's 5th grade teacher to your dentist to somebody that you sold a house to 2 years ago. It's really about categorizing those contacts so that you can market to them, because even if they're not actively in the market, they eventually may decide to raise their hand and list or sell. So you want to make sure that you stay in front of them Every single U.S. citizen over the age of 18 knows 13 different realtors. It used to be 7 like 5 years ago. Now it's up to 13. So it is important to keep in contact with your sphere of influence so that when they have a need arise, they know exactly who their go-to person is, and that would be you. So we do want to make sure that we are providing them not just communication, but communication that they want to be able to look at. Now, whether that's a Happy Holidays card, which we have available in MoxiEngage, or perhaps it's market news, which everybody wants to know what's going on in the market, right? They want to protect their asset in their home. We have the opportunity for you to be the local expert to contact them. Let me go ahead and mute somebody.
I'll pull this over here because I'm trying to.
There we go. So that is the importance of having a CRM.
I get irritated because I start trying to.
That is the importance of a CRM. And the good thing with the Moxie programs that we do operate is because they are very synergistic with the database you're already using in your Gmail accounts. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Now, the first time that you log into Engage, and I can't show you that because I am in an account that I operate a lot for training, but the first time you click into Engage, you're going to get a pop-up box. And that pop-up box is going to ask you for your goal. What is your goal for 2021 to sell real estate? Now, another really good synergistic tool in Moxie is it's connected to your local MLS. So as you're transacting in the MLS, if you're putting up a listing, if you have an under contract, if you have a sold property, that is automatically sent over to Moxie, not only for our consumer-facing websites, but it also tracks in your MoxiEngage. So not only is Engage a CRM, it also helps track your business. So you can set your GCI goal so that the system will help tell you how many people do you need in the marketing phase, how many people do you need in your active pipeline, how many under contracts do you have, are you tracking towards your goal, or perhaps maybe we need to engage the manager to help get you to where you want to be for your goal. So it does track by GCI, gross closed commission income, and anytime, like I said, it transacts in the MLS, it'll automatically feed over. So when you first log into MoxiEngage, it is going to ask you for that goal. So let me show you what that looks like. And again, if you're new just joining us, feel free to type questions in the chat or unmute yourself and ask them as we go through this training. So it does take a little bit of time to load, but that's because it's always live data, right? It's always pulling information in from the MLS, it's pulling information in from your email. So every time you log in, it's accurate, current data from the feed that it's pulling from. So this is my MoxiEngage, which you can see there's a lot of tests, just fake contacts, but of course your contacts will be real as you enter them either in MoxiEngage or in your Gmail account, which will sync over. So this is also where you can get to your goals, but keep in mind it'll prompt you when you first log in to enter that goal. If you're not ready at that time, if you really don't know, you haven't had business planning with your manager yet, you're uncertain of what you want to put that number at, you can go ahead and ignore it. It does let you skip it, and you can always get back to it from right here at the top where it says goals. Lots of tutorials, lots of tips and how-tos when you first get into MoxiEngage will come up. And then anytime something new comes out, a new tool that they have or an updated tool, you'll start seeing these pop-ups as well. So they are very useful. But again, you can X out in the upper right or just say, okay, I got it. So this is where it would track the goals. Now, you guys do the hard work. You're out there selling, you're buying with your clients. I'm just sitting in an office, so I don't have transactions, but this is what your transactions will look like. And again, there's no data entry that you have to do here. It comes over automatically from the MLS. So it'll track your buyers, your sellers, and total. It's going to track things like your average time to close, your average sales price, and your close rate. And you can see over here, you can go toggle from closed transactions to your active and pendings as well. And then your GCI forecast is going to track to that data that is coming over from the MLS. Now you can see my GCI goal is 0. So if you've skipped it, if you weren't quite sure what you wanted to put in there, or if you put in a very low number and you're already rocking it and killing it and you've already reached your goal, you can always come up over here to this little cog in the upper right corner. They sometimes like to hide it, so it's kind of teeny tiny. So you want to make sure you look for that cog. And then you can go to GCI goal right here. This is where you can update it. Now, if you've been with us since last year, you can also go back and view what your goal was for 2020. And since we technically started our launch in 2019, that is there as well. So you can always come back here and update that number when you want to. You also have the opportunity from the cog to go in your commission rate. Now, typically each market varies just a little bit depending on if you're sitting in the UP of Michigan or if you're down in beautiful St. Croix. So you do have the opportunity to update this, because how the system will track your GCI is off your volume. So if you've closed a $200,000 house, $200,000 house in the MLS, and your commission rate here is 3%, the system's going to put in 3% of that as your GCI. So if you know typically you're at 2.5, that's your average, you can update that right here. And then once you update that, you just click done. And again, that's from the cog right here. Now there's an amazing tour right here. If you are new to this, you can go through the tour. It's self-guided, it's super friendly, and it really gives you a lot of tips and tricks in the MoxiEngage system for both the goal setting and the CRM, which I'll show you in a minute. Michelle just had a great question out of Venice, Florida, and she asked if you can change it per transaction. And you cannot change it per transaction at this time. You can go in and change it when you know something's closing, let it feed over, and then change it back. But at this time, per transaction, that's not a possibility yet. But the great part about Moxie is as more people utilize it and come up with these great suggestions, they're more than willing to listen to us. We still meet with our project manager every single Friday, so we can absolutely put that on the list. So good question, Michelle. So this is really nice for you to help track your business. MoxiEngage really is an all-encompassing platform to help you run your successful real estate business. The other part of this goal setting is our managers have a dashboard, and it shows them all of the agents in their office. So I'm going to toggle real quick to manager mode. This just happens to be the 522 office here in Traverse City, which is where I physically sit. So the manager is able to help the agent track to their goal. It lets them know how many they have in the marketing pipeline, how many are prospects, how many are actives, how many are pending, what GCI they're at. Do they have people signed up for neighborhood news, which is one of the most highly engaged product in MoxiEngage, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then of course, just our typical red, green tracking. They're either tracking or they're not. So this helps our managers help you in your business to be successful. So that is the other portion of this. Now I'm going to go right back to agent mode, and I'm going to show you the dashboard. This is a one-stop shop personal assistant ready built for you. This is going to help track the people that you need to call. It's going to sync to your Gmail calendar. It's going to let you do a to-do list. It's going to show you an activity feed. Maybe you sent out 5 neighborhood news and maybe one person opened it 3 times. Well, they're highly engaged, right? That's when you pick up the phone to give them a call. It will go through your sales flow. It keeps your goals, which we know we can get to from here, but you have that opportunity here, and then your listings. And based on how you want to see this list, you have the ability to customize these. So first thing I do every morning when I come into the office, I open my calendar, right? I don't want to miss out on any appointments or trainings such as this. So maybe I want to see my calendar first. And I'm like, okay, I have all of this that I have to do. I realize I have time right now to make my calls, so that can be secondary. So this is able to be changed around on how you operate your business. Real quick, just to jump back to a question, the red and green tracking. So green means they're tracking to their goal. So we're almost halfway through the year, believe it or not. It's May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo. So if an agent's goal is $50,000 and they're tracking already at $28,000, they're going to be green because they're going to track to get to that goal. If their goal was $50,000 and they're only at 10, they're not tracking to their goal. So they're going to turn up red. So that's helpful for the manager to know who is tracking to their goal and who is not and may need some business planning, some help. Maybe it's reaching out to the marketing group, or it's getting them engaged more in the neighborhood news. So that really helps the manager know who's tracking to their goal. So this state and flow is very important. We know through data, through tracking, through interviews with top agents, through historical data from brokers around the world, that if you reach out to 5 people every day, you're going to have success in your business. It's about making that contact. We encourage our managers to reach out to 5 agents for recruiting purposes. We encourage our agents to reach out 5 people in your sphere just to make those connections. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's a text. Maybe you take them out to coffee. Maybe you take them out for tacos since it's Cinco de Mayo. Maybe you send them an email checking in on them. 5 sphere of influence contacts each and every business day. I'm not going to make you do it on a Sunday. However, if you're attending service somewhere, maybe that's your contact. But 5 people a day. That really is going to drive your sphere of influence marketing and drive your pipeline for transactions. And the system tells you who to call. You're not going through a file of facts. You're not trying to find sticky notes on your desk. If they are in your MoxiEngage, the system's going to track that for you. Now I have a bunch of junk here because this account is tied through to a Listings of Leads office account. So it doesn't look like real contacts. But just imagine those are names. And what you can do is right here, if you're like, oh, that's just Sally Sue's teacher. I saw him at the PTO meeting last week. I've already reached out to them. You can skip that. Or you can click Mark Done. And what that's going to do is the system's going to add another 5th person for you to contact that day. Now, maybe you want to click Reach Out. Maybe you want to get their phone number because it's right there. Maybe you want to get their address so that you can handwrite a note to them. Maybe it's as simple as just sending them an email, checking in on them. Maybe you saw them on Facebook and maybe you realize that they got a new car, a new dog, had a baby, whatever it might be. You can do that right from this screen. You can also sign them up for that neighborhood news right from this screen. We're going to dig into that a little bit later, but I did want to show you it's possible. And again, you can set them up for a campaign. Maybe a new buyer. Maybe it's a new buyer that you met at an open house that you were holding. So maybe you want to add them to the new buyer campaign. Maybe it is an old friend that you ran into. Maybe you want to add them to the Happy Holidays campaign. You can do that right from this screen. Again, if you're on mobile, because it's completely mobile responsive, there is no app for MoxiEngage, but if you go to the same link, my.schmidtresources.com on your mobile, it's completely mobile responsive. That's going to be a link that lets you automatically call the person right from the app. Now, obviously on the computer, it operates a little bit differently. You can get to more information right here. If you want to completely remove them, maybe it was a junk email, they accidentally got put in as a contact. It's really not going to be anybody in your sphere of influence, so you can remove them from right here. If you never want to see them in your stay and flow, if you realize that you already organically reach out to them for whatever reason, maybe you're on a committee where there's not an app, it's mobile responsive. So you want to just go to your browser on your cell phones, type in the my.schmidtresources.com, and it comes up completely mobile responsive, but there will not be an app in the App Store. So if you want to completely remove them out of stay and flow, you can do that too, but you always have the opportunity to skip if you want to. If you click on the cog right here, you can kind of tell the system who you want to show up in your stay and flow. So it's completely customizable. Do you want people to surface that are pending? Maybe not, because if you're in the pending transaction with them, you're probably already communicating with them a lot. So you can pick and choose which ones you want. And if they've been out of touch for 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, you can tell the system what you want to see in your stay and flow. So again, always look for those cogs if you're looking to customize something. So, and again, as you scroll down, it stays in the cadence of these. So if you want to see those differently, you drop and drag. It will automatically sync to your Gmail calendar. If you have tasks, you can make sure that you add a task right here, or perhaps that they are on a marketing campaign for that particular client and it adds a task to you. Those will show up here. Your activity feed, again, is if you're sending out data from MoxiEngage, like a neighborhood news or a campaign, and your client's clicking on it, or maybe they've saved a house on the consumer facing website to their favorites, it's going to show up here. And then this is your sales flow. So you tell the system, is it somebody you're marketing to? Everybody in your sphere of influence you should be marketing to, right? You want them to know that you're in real estate, ready to assist, provide top-notch service when they're ready. Prospects are going to be people that have raised their hand. I'm thinking about selling my house. I'm thinking about buying a new house. Those are your prospects. They're actively in the market. And then your actives, signed contract, right? Listing agreement, buyer, broker, whatever it might be, your active clients. And then of course our all favorite pending. You've put them under contract. Their house has been signed on, or maybe they have signed a purchase agreement on their own. So that's your sales flow. And then again, your goals is tracking here as well. And if you have listings, they show up. Not only active pending, but also your solds that you can track. Because again, remember, this is completely tied to your MLS. So that is our dashboard. So you can see you have a subset of menu right here underneath our main menu. So you can always get back there by clicking dashboard. You have the opportunity to add people manually, but like we mentioned, any contact in your Gmail contacts, as long as that's your sync email. And if you're struggling with that, if it's not syncing the way you want to see it, or if you're real not sure what sync email is, just reach out to your ASC or your RSC, and we'll make sure that we get that sync email set up correctly for you so that the system will work for you, right? This is all about ease of use. We want to make sure that it's working properly so that you are able to utilize it for a successful business. So when you go in, we were in dashboard, right? It gives us the state and flow, but you have the opportunity to come up here for people. You have overview, my people, which essentially is your contact list, and you can manually add a person here. Or if you go into my people and give that a second to load, there is an add people here. So there's a couple opportunities, add people, add people. You can also go into your overview. So this is going to give you your overview. It tells you how many people are in your database. If you click view full list, it's essentially the same as going to my people. So you have a lot of different opportunities to get to the same place. It tells you who you've recently viewed. It's going to track that prospect sales flow just like it did on your dashboard, and it's going to give you recommended actions. Again, these recommended actions are quite like what your sales flow is. The system is telling you this is who you should reach out to. Now here it actually tells you, sign them up on neighborhood news. Well, great suggestion, Moxie. Thank you so much. I think I'll do that. So it gives you those recommendations. You can also, of course, click skip, because we all know that we have a ton of contacts in our emails that have nothing to do with real estate, right? And I'll show you how to categorize those here in a minute. And then it gives you the new people as well. So again, that is your overview. But if you go into my people, this is going to pull up your full contact list. And I'm just checking my notes to make sure I'm following the proper syllabus. Good question. George's question was, is there a way to move from prospects back to marketing? And yes, there is. I'll show you that here in a second. So again, this is my people. Any of your groups that you have in Gmail set up on your contact list also sync over. So if you've long had a PTO list, if you've long had a church list of contacts in your Gmail and you use that Gmail to sync, those same groups are going to flow over to your MoxiEngage. So it really lets you categorize and keep it organized because it's automatically coming over. You have a couple of quick actions. Email, there's no phone number, so the phone won't light up. And then you can log activity. Maybe you ran into them at the grocery store. You said hi. They said, oh, my brother-in-law wants to buy a house. Can I have a card? So you gave them a card. So you want to just make sure you can log activity so you can do it right from there. You can also click into the person right from their name. Now, anytime you hover over anything and you get that little hand, that means that's a live link. That will allow you to open up a new view. So you can see down here, I just have a cursor. When I go up over the name, that hand comes up, so you are able to click into the account right there. If you are adding people, maybe you did sit at an open house. Maybe 3 people came through and you got their name and their phone number and their email address. So you do want to put them into Moxie. You can click Add People. You put in their names. This is where you can put in the label, and if you click that I, that will tell you what that is. So maybe it was a Mr. and Mrs. So this is where you can put Mr. and Mrs. Test. But again, keep it, anytime you see that I, that's a little tip or trick or how to, or the why about that particular thing. You can put in their phone number, their email address. If they have instant messaging like Skype, if they have a website that you want to add, if you can add a relationship as well. If it is your assistant, it's your brother, your domestic partner. So it lets you categorize them that way. And you can also add dates. Is it their birthday? Maybe you just sold them a house, so you want to put their house anniversary in there. But you can also do custom as well. You can also add a personal file, their profession, their gender if you choose, their company, their title. You can link through to their social media if you want to. And then this is where you can assign, if you want to, if they're a past seller, a past buyer, if they're a collaborator, which would be your mortgage person, your title person, your insurance person. That's a collaborator. You're not necessarily marketing to them, but they're still in your sphere of influence because you work with them. Or a personal contact as well. And then for our managers, if there's any on the call, that's where you could click recruit. So once you've done all that, you just click done. It's just that simple. You can put in as much or as little information as you want. Now we've opened up that person's contact card, right? This is our client's contact card. And I'm going to show you the categorize wizard for all of those on the call that are new that maybe did have a sync come over and you have a bunch of contacts. I'll show you on a one-stop shop how you can categorize those. But you can do it individually as well. So are they a client or are they a non-client? Obviously, the title person's probably a non-client, so you could mark them as such here as well. Or if it's your dentist or something like that. If it is a client, which we all like that little $sign, right? So you click client. From here, you have some options. You can create a marketing plan. You can make them a seller prospect. You can make them a buyer prospect. Obviously, you're going to know who this person is, where you found them, how you started talking to them, and what they're interested in. So you have the opportunity to do that. If you want to make sure that they're a client, but you're not ready to put them on a marketing plan yet, if you click Create Marketing Plan, you can choose from the standard ones that we have, or you can click none of these. That's going to allow you to still have them as a client, but you don't necessarily have to put them on a marketing plan right away. Or you can create a plan for them right here. If you click Create Plan, it's going to give you 9 tasks, or you can add a task as well. And based on when you're adding the person to the system, it's going to tell you when that particular task is due. If you go into add task, you can task that however you want. Maybe you send everybody a bouquet of flowers. You can go ahead and put that in there, your description, how long it should take, what the due date is, and you can actually even add it to your calendar. So if you have your calendar, obviously your Gmail calendar syncing, and you have it on your phone, say, if you add it to your calendar, you don't even have to go into MoxiEngage. It's going to show right up on your calendar for you. So that is how you can add that to the person. Now you can always get back to their profile here, and it gives you that data that you entered. You can always edit it if you want to. Hit cancel. There's notes here. So if you've added notes, then you can go ahead and start putting them in here. And then it shows them their activity. So if you've sent them a neighborhood news and they've opened it, it's going to show up in their activity. If they were online and they favorited a house, it's going to show that activity. It's also going to give you faves and saves. So we can actually set up, if you have been with us for a while, it works just like Zap. We can set up saved searches. So there is always the opportunity, right, to do it in the MLS, but we do have that opportunity in MoxiEngage, and it pulls all that data straight from the MLS, and then the system will track it for you. So you'll know how many times they're opening it. You'll know specifically which houses they're clicking on. And we're not going to go through that process today, but we will touch on that in the 201 session coming up later this week, I believe. And then if they have favorited homes, that's going to show up. So it's always going to give you the opportunity to track that client's activity. You can add them to a group. Like we mentioned, your Gmail groups come over and sync to MoxiEngage and vice versa. You can add them to a group right from here. If you are working with a team, if you have a person in your sphere that you share with somebody else and you're going to be working this client together, you can send a copy of that profile to another agent in your office. So there is that opportunity there to collaborate with others if you guys are sharing some of these people. You do always have the opportunity to remove them from Engage as well. Maybe they've moved to Tiberia and they're no longer going to transact in your market and you can't even use them as an outgoing referral and you just want them out of your headspace. You can remove from Engage right here. So the question was, is there a way to move from prospects back to marketing? And I do know there is a way, George, and bear with me. If you go into from prospects back to marketing, if you click right here on your marketing plan, and let's make this person a prospect. We're going to make them a buyer. They're going to buy a $1.7 million home. Oh, I lied, George. You cannot. So I will ask that question on our call Friday. So once you've moved it forward, you cannot return it to prospects. So let me get better direction on that, and I will follow up with you once I know more. Obviously, you can always remove them and re-add them, but that's not a great solution, so I'll find out more. So we're going to leave this right where it's at, but you can see that task list will come up in here as well. So we're right over here in this test account in the sales flow. And then you can see it'll take you through actives, it'll take you through to pending. You can manually add a transaction. Maybe it's a created sale that did not get put in the MLS. You can add a transaction right from here. And that will allow you to put that information in. Now, for those of you in Michigan and Ohio, this does have an association with dotloop. We're not quite there yet in Florida with app files, but they will speak to that in 201. I can show you after this where our amazing Schmidt Video Classroom has that training, but that does have that synergistic collaboration with dotloop as well for those agents in Michigan and Ohio, and also USVI, because I know you guys use dotloop as well. So let's talk about the categorize wizard, because we all know that we have a ton of contacts, right? And it can get overwhelming. And if you are new to the business, your prior life, you may never even have thought of this contact list as your sphere of influence, but really is your sphere now, right? It's the people that you operate with in some capacity in your life that may or may not one day want to buy or sell a home. So that's your sphere of influence. So the system will allow you to categorize them a lot easier than one by one. So if you go into My People, and again, keep in mind the subset of menu is always here. That option is right here, Categorize Wizard. We're going to give that a second to come up. And so this is where you can see all on one screen your newest people. So it adds the newest people at the front. You can click Show Me More, and it's going to keep adding, it's going to keep popping up new people. So from here you can quickly say client or non-client. Where before, when you were on the other screen, you had to click into the person to do that. You can do this from the category wizard right here. So you can see, obviously this is myself, so I'm not a client. You click non-client, and then it lets you right from here. You can remove them. You can make them a personal contact, or you can make them a collaborator. So maybe it is that title person, maybe it is that insurance person, maybe it's an inspector. You can do that right from here. Or if you simply just want to get rid of them, you have that opportunity. So this, let me show you how you get there. So we're in People and My People. And we're going to let that load. Right here is where you can get to the Categorize Wizard. That will launch you into that screen, and that will allow you to go through those and categorize them all at once. So maybe you have 400 contacts that synced over. Pour a glass of wine one night, go through them all, categorize them, and then you'll be able to start utilizing the system in a lot easier manner than if you have not categorized them. So you can see because this one is tagged as a buyer, it shows up here. You have these filters if you're looking for certain clients that you can filter. You can view just a group. You can view anybody tagged as a buyer, a seller, past buyer, past seller. Anybody that's uncategorized, you can do that from here. Or if they're missing email addresses, you just have this way to filter the view so that your contacts that show up, you can see I have all of them because I didn't actually put in a filter. But if you filter them, it's going to show you just those contacts. So maybe we want to see just buyers. It's going to pull up just those people. Now you can see on this particular one, there's a secondary tag next to buyer. So there is a way to continue to customize MoxiEngage to make it a lot more user-friendly for you. And that's by adding tags or labels. So you can see this listings to leads is a label. So we're going to click into this again where the hand came up. So it let me know that it is a way to click through to the next page because the hand was there. You can see all of these have the hand that come up. So you know that you can click through to a new screen. And it launched just right into here. So if we want to click on profile, we can see we have an email, we have a home address. Keep in mind if you click edit, you can do that from here. It lets you change all of that here. And again, you can put as much or as little as you want on here. You can mark it as past seller or past buyer from here. And then keep in mind right here is where you can add it to a group. Well, we have to click cancel there first. Go back to here. Add to a group, and you can add it to any of those groups. So maybe you have a group named newsletter and you send them a newsletter once a quarter. So you can put them in that newsletter group so that when you're using Moxie Present to do that newsletter, you can send it to that entire group called newsletter and you don't even have to worry about adding them individually. So again, your notes are going to allow you to track the activity that you want to manually add. So maybe you said ran into client at Meijer, mentioned they're pregnant again, we'll follow up, or whatever it might be. That just allows you to not have to keep all of that in your brain. You can put it here and always get back to your notes. If you click back to results, it's the same as if you go back to people and my people. Now we do have that filter, so you can see there, if you've filtered it and you do click back, don't panic that your contacts are gone, you just have that filter. So always look up here into that filter to make sure that you take it off. Now from this screen, you do have the option to check these boxes, and from here, you can add to a group if you want. You can name them whatever you want if you want to categorize them that way. You can also add multiple people to neighborhood news right from this screen as well. And again, you can remove as well. So maybe you ran a listings to leads campaign, they've synced over, and it's just nothing that you want to see because it's not really your sphere of influence. You can multiple remove people by clicking remove here. Always is going to ask you, are you sure? And if you are sure, then you click remove right from here. That's going to give you the green option here saying, yep, absolutely, you did remove those people. You also can toggle right here by recently viewed or recently added or recently modified. So sometimes as you're working in the MoxiEngage system, that's a really good view to go to because that's your newest people, right? That's who you're actively engaging into the system. You can sort order right here. It's going to go alpha, or you can do the reverse. So there's a lot of different opportunities in order to see the view the way that you want to see the view. Now keep in mind when you're in my people, it's going to be all your people unless you use a filter. Or if you go into overview, that is where like your dashboard kind of your clients. It's going to tell you recently viewed here. It's going to say who's in your sales flow. And again, it gives you those recommended actions right there. Let me check the chat box. So far, I don't see anything else coming in. So let's talk about neighborhood news because it is one of the most highly engaged products that MoxiEngage offers. So let's just go into my people. Obviously, we can do it right from here because that's our recommendation, but we're going to go through it from my people view. I want to find a particular client, so I'm going to type in their last name there, and it should filter through and bring up anybody that has that name. Again, with the hand, click on the person. Right from here, you can add subscriptions. You have two options. You can add them to listing announcements so that this particular client will get anything that was just listed or just sold. And again, those are all email announcements that's sent through the system as an email. Or you have this option here for neighborhood news. So if you're a little bit newer to the business and you haven't really transacted yet, you know, you're getting some listings and you're getting some buyers, but you don't necessarily have a lot going in the MLS yet, the best option is right here, and that's the neighborhood news. Once you click on neighborhood news, you have two further options. You can do a quick add, which will pull in data from an entire zip code, or you can do custom. Yes, the listings would be yours only, George. So those listing announcements is based on your listings. So if you don't have any yet, the neighborhood news is a great solution. So again, quick add will take the entire zip code into consideration when it comes to the market data that neighborhood news compiles, the listings in that zip code, or you can do custom and a more targeted search. So if we want to try that option, you click go. And this is going to look just like the live consumer search functionality on the CB Schmidt, Ohio, CB Great Lakes, CB Florida homes. So you have the opportunity here, maybe we want Kalkaska. So you can type in Kalkaska there. It's going to change your map. Now anything in the black boundary is what's going to show up in these search results here. This is the data, the information that's going to go to the client on the neighborhood news. If this is too big of a region and you want just downtown perhaps, you can redraw that boundary. So if you click draw, you can do quick draw, and then on the map, maybe you want to just pinpoint downtown. You can see our search results have changed. The map zoomed in, and it's only those particular properties that are inside that boundary. So if you have an area where there's $1 million homes on the beach on this side of the road and there's $400,000 houses on the other side of the road, and this particular client you know wants that one region, you can do that draw so you can get really granular in the data that you're sending them. When you go back to draw, you can do multi-draw too. Oops. That did not work for me. Why are we not working? There we go. So if you click, it'll let you do this. And then again, it's going to change all of your directions. So if you wanted to send them more than one location, you would want to send them more than one neighborhood news. So you can set this up for each client with more than one neighborhood news. You can also go off schools if you want to. You can always clear the map. If it's not what you want to see, you can click clear map and exit. If there are no boundaries on the map, anything showing in the screen will show up. So if we zoom out, you can see that dot now shows up. It's changing our search results here. And as you click out, it's going to pull in more and more dots on the map based on what that view is. So if there are no boundaries on the map, then it's going to be every single thing in that map view, in that entire box, is where your search results are coming from. You have more options to customize this. Maybe you know their specific price range. Maybe they want to stay from $350 to $375. Click apply. Now only those in that price range will show up. And I probably need a little bit different search area here. We'll do Leland. So because we did Leelanau, it's going to show in that price range the options. And again, the border is back now because I typed in that city name. So that's why our border is back. So the properties that are over here, even though they're showing on the map, aren't coming in our search results because they are, there is a border that's going off of. You have more features that you can show here, beds, baths, or if you go into filters, you can do things like maybe they don't want a condo, so you want to uncheck condo. So if it's blue, it means it's checked. So you have that opportunity here as well. You can also do a square footage minimum if you choose to. Now I'm going to take that price out just so that we have more, so you can see what the final product looks like. So we're going to click next. So your navigation on this neighborhood news window is in the lower right corner. So we're going to click next. So this is the contact. This is the person because I launched it from the people area. That's the email address right there. Click next. You want to confirm the neighborhood news. You can get back to edit right here if you want to. But this will give you a preview. So this is what the email completely branded to you. It'll give the client an opportunity to launch into the full report, but this is the actual email that it looks like. It gives them those listings that were in those search parameters that you sent them, gives them opportunity to view more, and then it also goes over the, obviously it tells them what the search features were, shows them the map, tells them how many days active these listings are. It does insert that mortgage calculator in case they're curious about what they can get pre-approved for. And then it gives the trends in the surrounding area. So it gives them a graph, sold price, market changes from month over month, tells you that information, your median prices, average days to sell, a lot of good data. And again, always branded to you as the agent. It always will give our clients the option to unsubscribe so that we stay compliant with rules on that. So that is always an option. And then you click send to Carrie Scott, which would be your client name because my agent is in as my client. And that will show you here. And if you click more, you can preview it, you can edit it, you can send it immediately and not wait for the next month. It always sends every 30 days. And you can add new. So if you want to add another one, this time you want to just do a quick add. You put in your zip code right here. You can preview it if you want. You can update all of this text if you want. And then just click done. And that's how quick the quick one is. So you do have that option of adding a new custom or a new quick. And you can see that quick one was just that quick. It'll always tell you when the next send is, which will always be 30 days after the date that it was either created or the last date that it was sent. And again, if you want to get back to this, we are in our contact card. You can come down to where it says subscriptions. If you click on neighborhood news, it's going to launch this screen. And again, as they are sent data in the system, it's going to track that on their activity page. So you'll know that a few seconds ago it says, and then a minute ago you subscribed that person, it was sent. If I check my email right now, I'm sure it's already in my inbox. There is a lot of good data from Moxie, and not just our brokerage, but all the brokerages that Moxie supports. That neighborhood news is one of the most highly engaged product that they send out. Obviously, we all know that happy holiday cards are nice. It's a great way to stay in front of your people. It's friendly, but this is actual data that a lot of people are interested in, but won't always necessarily pick up the phone to ask. This automatically will pop it in their inbox for them so they can track the neighborhood news. Stays branded to you, so you stay in front of them as the local expert, and it allows them to engage in all of the active listings. It is every 30 days. There is not a way to change it to bi-monthly. If you would like to send your clients more frequent listings, that option would be in our, if you come back to subscriptions and click add, it's in faves and saves. So if you go to faves and saves, let's close this window. If you want to send them more frequent listings, you know they're super active in the market, they really want to see what's coming on. In faves and saves, you want to do that under the saves. So you create a search here. The screen looks quite familiar. It looks just like the neighborhood news. The map works the same there with the boundaries. Anything in the boundary will show up. Anything outside the boundary will not. You have more features on here for the filters. You can put in waterfront if you want to. You can put days on the MLS, some of the features here. You can send solds if you want to, if somebody's tracking the solds. You click apply, email and settings. This is where you can send it to them more frequently. The neighborhood news is just once a month touch, but you do have the opportunity in the saves to do this. So if more frequent communication is required, that's where you'd want to do it underneath your saves from right here. Great questions. So again, Moxie 201 will dig in a little bit more. It'll go over more about the client profile. It'll cover the tasks and the task manager a little bit, and it will talk in Michigan and Ohio that dot loop connection as well. And then they'll jump in fully into the campaigns, whether it's the buyer campaign, a seller campaign, holiday campaign. So in 201, they will teach you how to do that. Now, if you are interested in more information, there's two great places to go. And you can get to both of them from Schmidt Resources. So we are back in our Moxie Square in Schmidt Resources. You can get to the support page right here, and then we also have our recorded trainings right here. So if you click on support.moxieworks.com, they have this great getting started right here. So if you click on that, whether you're talking about MoxiEngage, which we're talking about today, or Moxie Present, which we have training also coming up, check your education calendars for those dates, or your website, it really will walk you through little tips and tricks on how to get started in the product. So again, that's support.moxieworks.com, and it says right here, it's just these one-offs. And when you click into any of those topics, it always gives you a great how-to. There's usually either a video or screenshots of exactly where to go, and it'll walk you through that particular task. There's also a hot tips, which is really good as well. So it gives you hot tips based on the product, whether it's Engage or Present or websites. So that support page is really super user-friendly, and it's really helpful. You, of course, can always type, so maybe you want to know more about that categorized wizard. If you type in a topic there, it's going to give you search results, just like a lot of support pages do. But again, if you click on it, you'll see that it gives you that how-to. The screenshots are there, and a lot of them will even allow you to download into a PDF if you want to print it out, have it next to you while you're walking through that task. Again, the other option is, I lost Schmidt Resources, so 1 second. If we go back to our Moxie Square, are these recorded trainings. So we know we have our Moxie Monday every single Monday at 10:15. So we record all of those as well, and we have that in a playlist. But we also have these longer forum trainings for agents that are new to the product. If they want to really start from scratch and they want a video as opposed to the getting started on the support page, they can come in here and watch these recordings as well. So I don't see any other questions coming, but we do have about 5 minutes left. So as we wait for questions on MoxiEngage, I just want to point out the hub. So we are back in Moxie, we're in Engage, we're actually in a client contact card, so we can click back. As we mentioned, you can get there from here as well. Keep in mind, this is where your goals reside. In 201, they will talk about campaigns. But this hub right here, if you've been with us for a little while, you'll realize it changed recently. It used to say home, but it really is our hub. It's our one-stop shop for you guys. It even has Schmidt Resources embedded in it. So if you come over here to the hub, you can be logged into CB Desk, which is, we know, the brand's asset. If you're in commercial world, you can get to CBC Desk. This is where our D-Signs portal will launch you right into our Schmidt family of companies D-Signs. You can get automatically into listings to leads. Michigan and Ohio and USVI can get into dot loop. Florida can get into app files. You can get directly over to This Is Our List. You can also find the open house submission here and a standalone link to that Moxie training. So lots of options to get where you need to be. And then if you keep scrolling, you'll see Schmidt Resources is right here too. So whether you're launching into Moxie from Schmidt Resources or you're in Moxie and you want to get back to Schmidt Resources, that opportunity is available to you in the hub. Now, if you click on CB Desk and it doesn't automatically log you into CB Desk, just reach out to your ASC. We just have to make sure on your account, which again, keep in mind, you can get there in the upper right corner, My Account. We just have to make sure that's on your personal info tab, which it launched me over to contact. On your personal info tab, that this internal agent ID is your brand login information. Once we've entered that in there correctly, those single sign-ons from the hub will work automatically. So again, if you're clicking on that and not having that experience, just reach out and we'll make sure that we get you set up correctly. And again, that's all launched from the hub. Keep in mind that menu is always at the top there for you. And then your other navigation is right here in the upper right corner. So let me check for questions. I don't see any questions right now. So we are going to end just a few minutes early. Let me stop share here. Stop that.